Hi, how's it going? Welcome to the DM Diaries with myself, Oliver, Dungeon Master, giving you a chance to get behind the DM screen and seeing what's going on in my head, which is a dark place filled with Dementors and Klingons. So, a couple of things I want to talk about on this one. I kind of had a bit of a wall the last couple of weeks, but with being inspired, I felt like I was kind of rehashing the same kind of things, and my DM campaigns seem to be the same kind of themes and the same kind of structure. And as a dungeon master, I want to evolve beyond conventions and of course keep things interesting for the players and for myself. So challenging myself recently to write more of the campaign and take it in different styles, because I think you don't want the players falling into a routine of complacency where they go through the motions and just trying to rack up the XP or just trying to get this or that. You want it to be engaging for them. So I'm really trying to focus on that as of recently. Instead of having every campaign be searching for information or trying to defeat a bad guy, have some more puzzle solving and character moments, role plays, and a bit more storytelling is the other element that I'm trying to kind of ignite within my campaigns. I feel a lot of the time my players are engaged with their characters. Especially in Eyes of Elisia, I feel like the role play is really strong. And Black Winter Nights as well. And I think that came through some very careful actions on my part, trying to create a world that's interesting enough for the characters and trying to give the players enough room to discover their characters and become connected to them. But then the element that I think was missing was the heavy storytelling. I'd kind of fallen into a place where it was like, okay, you're trying to find this guy. Oh, you talk to an NPC, he gives you a bit of a hint, and then he nudges you this way. Oh, you found him? Cool, now you fight him. And I just thought, it was becoming too predictable. So I thought, ramp up the storytelling element. And it was after watching Matt Mercer, actually, on Critical Role, when he just did a bit of a monologue, and I just thought, man, he's a marvellous storyteller. And I kind of thought to myself, those are the elements that I want to bring in. I want to tell a great story. Although a story where, any number of outcomes are possible. So there's a couple of notes that I have behind my DM screen. Right in front of me I've got the map. That always helps me engage with the world more, if I can see the map. Then I've got a small pad with just the notes for that session. Things I want to reveal and places of interest. I've got a couple of speeches readied. And then I just have the words storytelling and roleplay. And if at any point I'm about to improv something, or I feel like I don't know what to do next, I just look at those two key elements, roleplay and storytelling. And I think that's what I want to boil it down to when I'm trying to make something interesting. I want it to be based on those two kind of concepts, and it's actually helped quite a lot. I mean, I'm always changing and growing as a DM, always trying to be a better Dungeon Master. It's what I do with creative projects. I start something and then I try and take it to the highest level. Or at least to a point where I'm proud of it at the end of the day. You can look back on a body of work and think to yourself, yes, this was worthwhile, this is worth doing, I really did put a lot into it. So that's what I'm trying to do. So the storytelling thing, I'm doing more speeches of characters. When I first started, I always had a speech written, and then I kind of got out of that as I became too complacent. So now I'm really trying to bring that back. Another thing that I want to talk about in this DM Diaries is the judging of monster levels. These two games, Black Winter Nights and Eyes of Elisia, are my first games that I've ever run in 5th Ed, and it was a real challenge trying to figure out the level at which I should throw these monsters at the party. The challenge rating system is great, and it gives you a basic idea, but what I realised is you kind of have to tailor it to how strong your players are. I gave my players have some pretty decent magical items, and some of their spells are currently doing more than they would in the book, just because of blessings from Sephinine or the Universal Song. So it was difficult. The challenge rating is a good guide, but in no way is it as an absolute kind of formula. I found some formulas online, but what I think it really came down to for me was knowing my players well enough, knowing their hit points, knowing their style of combat, and then that's allowed me to adjust the 8 armor classes, damage, and hit points of the monsters that I throw at them. So basically in 5th Ed you've got the two types of monsters, essentially, I'm generalising a bit. High hit points and AC, and few hit points AC, the higher hit points in AC monsters generally do less damage because they survive longer, and the ones with the lower HP and armor class generally, have a lot of have a lot of damage. So they can only be there for a couple of rounds, but they'll really mess up the party, or they'll slowly chip away. But it's just it's a sense of that, and yeah, really what I do now is I jump on the website that has all the monsters arranged from the monster manual, arranged by challenge rating. And I can just scroll to around about the area, 4 to 5 to 6 challenge rating. And then I'll just click and read their hit points, AC, and spells. Try and find something that's interesting, that'll fit with the story, but something new and exciting, and with some little traps and tricks hidden into them. Like the vampire, for instance, with life drain is wonderful. So I'll just go through those, and I'll just think to myself, okay, if everyone's fighting, and I'll tinker with it. Sometimes I'll change the armor class. Almost always I'll change the hit points. I don't like to roll for hit points for monsters. It's all in the monster manual. It's got what dice to roll, or it's got the average. Personally, I just look at the stats, think to myself, okay, and then set the bar in my head and go, okay, this is how many hit points it has. And tinkering with the AC, I only do it by a couple of points, but just to really get it right. And I think at this point now, after months and months of both games, I'm getting good at it. I'm getting better at being able to throw a monster at the party that will challenge them, but that they have a chance of winning. There's that lovely balance. And I think I've actually finally kind of figured that out, which is great. I mean, the next episode I might get a TPK or a boss that gets killed in one hit, but I feel like I've gotten to a really good point with it. I think I can understand it a lot more, so that's cool. Another thing I wanted to talk about here is that feeling you get when your players are engaged. They're really within the story. They're creating these beautiful moments in their role play and their decisions and just the way they carry themselves. And those moments where I'll say something, I'll reveal a bit of information, and just to watch the table kind of look at each other and get it genuinely emotionally invested in the story. It's such an amazing feeling. It really is the height of my sessions when that happens, and there's just this beautiful moment where everyone cheers, or everyone freaks out, or everyone goes, I can't believe it. And that kind of gives you validation that the story that you're creating is worth their time, which is a great kind of compliment to see that in their faces, in the way they play. So for me as a DM, the next things I'm focusing on, main things, is roleplay and storytelling. I want to create a story that when they, at the end of the campaign, when they tell someone about it, someone says, oh, you played some D&D, what happened? I want them to be able to tell a story that's beautiful and engaging, with some, hidden metaphor and, layers of interesting characters and NPCs, and betrayal and truth and power and wonder and valor and might, and the test of the lone adventurers who have banded together to fight against the evils that threaten their world. I want it to sound beautiful and interesting when someone tells the story. But more than that, I want, if someone was to ask my players at a party or whatnot, what do you think of your character? Who do you play? I want my players to get excited. I'll say, I play this like druid, his name's Shiva. That's what I want, and that's what I'm working towards. So those are some DM thoughts on DM Diaries, behind the DM screen with myself, Oliver, Dungeon Master. And thanks for watching. Check out the rest of the content on the D20 Multiverse, and I'll be back soon to do more of this.